Hey, so this is a shout out to an eating disorder petition that Fiona Clark sent me and asked if I'd mind sharing, if I thought I wanted to. And I did, because it's a petition that people in all size bodies should be recognised as being able to have an eating disorder. Because you guys know what it's like. Unless you present in anything other than an ultra skinny body, most doctors, treatment providers do not recognise that you can have an eating disorder in a larger body or even a normal sized body. And that's a massive problem, because there are so many people that are in larger bodies and normal sized bodies and that are restricting heavily and compulsive exercising and purging and doing all of the eating disorder behaviours that those of us that end up in skinny bodies do, to the same degree, and they're doing the same amount of damage to their bodies. And they are not recognised and they are not given treatment, and that's not okay. I've actually met plenty of people who are in larger bodies who are restricting heavier than I did ever in my eating disorder. But because they are not in a super thin body, nobody is even, no one gives a fuck, basically. And that absolutely does have to change. So I really support this petition, and I'm going to put a link to it in the comments. And for those of you that are a bit confused by this, I'm going to explain it, because you know what? Before I had an eating disorder, before I got involved in the field, I would have been confused a bit as well, because I thought that people with anorexia were always skinny, because that's what I was actually taught in psychology class, A level. So I don't blame anybody for being a bit like, what the fuck is she going on about, saying that you can have an eating disorder if you're in a larger body? So I'm going to explain it. Right. So there's a thing called body diversity, and that is how our bodies are diverse and generally genetically influenced. And so that is why people come in all different shapes and sizes. I think that's something that we can all understand and establish to be, yep, that's true. Body diversity, get it, it's a thing. Now, because of body diversity, it means that the term underweight should actually be determined sort of with reference to or relative to that person's natural body weight. So if a person is a naturally, say, and I hate using the Bmi Scale, I'm just going to use it to give you a picture, but say if a person naturally, their natural body weight, like the same sort of the body weight that everybody in their family tends to have, falls at a sort of BMI 25, 26, right? And they are healthy in that body weight, it's the body weight they've pretty much always had, and that's natural for them. That's a body diversity thing, right? Got it, yeah? Now, all right, the problem is there's a thing called the BMI scale, and according to the BMI scale, that's not good. 25, 26 is a problem. Now, this person might get to the age of 20 and never, be perfectly fit and healthy. And then one day they go and visit a doctor or something just for a checkout, and the doctor just mentions it, and they go like, oh, did you know that your BMI is actually in the overweight range? Maybe you should consider going on a diet. And that person might think, well, I guess, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I should actually eat less. Maybe I should go on a diet. And they do that. So like, all right, well, I should go on a diet. And they diet. And then they restrict quite heavily. And they could be restricting heavily, and they might get to down to a BMI of 23, which is 3 BMI points lower than what their natural healthy BMI would have been. So that person, therefore, is underweight, according to me at least, because they are under the weight that their body would be at had they not been suppressing their body weight via restriction. All right, so I'm going to say that again. They are under the weight that their body would naturally be at had they not been suppressing their body weight via restriction, compulsive exercise, purging, whatever. Okay, so that makes sense. In order to get to that BMI of 23, they have been engaging in restrictive behaviours. Restriction, compulsive movement, all of those things. They are not, according to the BMI chart at that BMI 23, they are not, quote unquote, underweight. However, according to me, they are underweight, because like I keep saying, they are under the weight that their body would naturally be at had they not been engaging in body weight suppression behaviours. And so that is how you can be underweight at any weight. And that person who has restricted themselves down to 3 BMI points less than what they would naturally be at, that person is going to have all of the same eating disorder shit going on as somebody who started off in maybe a slightly naturally slimmer body and ended up in a really emaciated one. They're going to have all the mental hunger, they're going to have all the anxiety, they're going to have all of the feelings of guilt, shame, disgust, regret, and things like that should they eat. And they're going to have the same desire to binge that the vast majority of us who are restricting food have. And so it's just exactly the same. The only difference really is that they started at a higher weight, and therefore, when they actually restrict, they end up at a higher weight than somebody who started at lower weight and then ends up at an even lower weight. But they are still underweight. They are still underweight for their body. And that's what needs to be recognized. And so if you understand that, if that makes sense to you and you think, okay, I get it, and actually that is important, great, sign the petition, gotta go, bye.